It's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in Greater San Diego County, joined today by Catherine Blakespear. She is the new mayor of the city of Encinitas, a smashing victory. You won by quite a margin. I want to get a sense from you, why do you think your margin was so large? What was it about your campaign that seemed to resonate with the voters?
Well, thank you for having me today. I think I won by a wide margin because my service on the city council for the last 2 years, combined with my family history of almost 100 years in Encinitas, made it so that I have a sense of the real pulse of the community and the issues that matter to people.
And what were those issues? I know you talk to a lot of voters in your town. The benefit is your town's not too big, not too small, so you have a chance to really mix it up with them. What were they saying? What was resonating?
Well, I think commitment to environmental protections and to our community and the active members of our community, valuing them, and being interested in our land use decisions and how we move forward as a city. All of those things are very important to people.
I want to talk about land use momentarily, but I want to ask you about Milton Smith and Dorothea Smith. They're your grandparents.
Yes.
I don't think they're with us anymore, but I want to get a sense from you, what do you think they would think about the fact that their granddaughter is now the mayor of Encinitas? They were leaders in the city, we'll call it town, whatever it was back then. I mean, it really is quite remarkable to consider.
I think they'd be very proud, and I remember my grandma reflecting on when the 5 freeway came through, because she was there before the 5 freeway and the battle over whether it would go on the coast or inland. So being part of the community and investing in it has always been part of my family's culture, and I think that they would just be thrilled.
But would they be surprised that their granddaughter was mayor, or were you that kid like me that was writing papers about, you know, when I'm president?
No, I think they would be surprised because I didn't run for class president or that kind of thing. So
I want to talk about land use, because land use continues to be an extremely contentious issue throughout San Diego County, all of California. Let's back up so our viewers understand. There's a state law out there that talks about what cities must do in terms of the mix of housing available. Explain the state law for us.
Yes, well, state housing law requires every city to have the zoning for housing at every income level. And in Encinitas, we have the zoning for upper income. Okay. And we have about 26,000 housing units in our city. Okay. And so we need to add about 1,100 units in the lower income categories. Because we don't have the zoning for that. And the zoning is basically, what that means is higher density housing for the lower income.
So in order to add that lower income housing, as I understand it, state law requires that you have a plan in place.
Right, and I just want to clarify, it's not actually for the lower income, all those units. What it actually is just high density, because density is a proxy for affordability.
I understand.
So it creates a complication.
But I must say, density is really the wave of the future. I mean, in a lot of ways, people are really attracted to tall buildings with a Starbucks at the bottom, and then, you know, maybe a Chick-fil-A next to it, and then the bus around the corner, and who knows, maybe a subway will come through Encinitas. I mean, these are things that are becoming hip for all of us.
I mean, one of the main difficulties, I think, in these conversations is it's all about traffic and mobility. So how do most people who work full-time, about 90% of people who live in Encinitas who work full-time drive outside the city.
Is that true? Okay.
And then most people who live in the city most people who work in the city drive in from outside the city. So but it's not like we could control that really, because it's a free market.
But if you do have housing that's available, and look, Encinitas is a desirable community with desirable schools, and so your real estate market, I mean, the prices are probably high, and it makes it hard. If you want to buy in Encinitas, so you're looking for those high density units. So in order to get that mix, though, you do need a plan in place, correct? Under state law, and there's been litigation surrounding the fact that you don't have a plan. Explain.
Exactly. And because of a voter initiative called Prop A, which we had in 2013, voters weigh in on our plans.
So let's be clear. Prop A says any housing plan must go to your voters. Is that accurate?
Yes, it's a summary of it.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. Give it a shot. But basically,
yes, it's intensification of use of land use. So different types of changes to zoning.
So the voters were presented with Measure T in November.
Right.
I believe that most of you that were running for either mayor or council supported Measure T. Is that accurate?
Yes, and the reason is that it's the responsible course to get us compliant with the law. We have spent millions of dollars on past plans, which we've thrown out, on consultants and lawyers and strategists, and now in these lawsuits. And we are still not across the finish line.
So let me ask you before we give away the ending. So Catherine Blakespear wins for mayor. She supports Measure T. Tasha Horvath wins for council. She supports Measure T. The other two victors in the council?
They both also supported Measure T.
So all four people elected in Encinitas supported Measure T. What happened to Measure T?
I think
it lost.
Yeah, I think whenever you're voting for people, you look at who your options are. And I think that the council candidates and the mayoral candidates weren't as connected with Measure T.
I understand.
And so
but it is kind of an interesting case study that all four winning candidates support Measure T. I guess it wasn't the overwhelming issue in the campaign. Was there a big no campaign?
It was pretty overwhelming and as an issue. And there was a huge no campaign. And there was a pretty weak yes campaign.
What was the concerns of the no side?
Their concerns had to do with too much density, height was too high.
Do you have a choice?
The buffer was too big. My hope now, moving forward, is that we can work together with the community to address the main things that concern them about Measure T and try to scale it back.
Okay.
So I don't think that we will have the luxury of being able to throw it out completely and go back to the drawing board. And the reason for that is that a court is going to be looking at the fact that we are out of compliance with state law. The voters have rejected this. And the litigants, we've even just the day after we certified the results, the litigants have come forward and said, you're in breach and you need to remedy this, and let's have a meet and confer, and we're moving forward on the legal track.
And you're a lawyer.
Right.
Right. So you know from what you speak in terms of these litigation maneuvers.
Right. And this isn't trivial.
I understand.
And it's not cheap. And so as an elected leader who is responsible for the public's taxpayer money, I think we need to do our best to work with the community to get a plan that they could support and to get compliant with the law.
This has got to be tricky. I mean, here you are, you're a newly elected mayor, won in a landslide, and then the measure that you supported loses pretty much in a landslide.
Right.
Where do you go?
Well, the problem is I hope that everybody can come to the table with an eye toward recognizing that upzoning is required.
Right.
We're not going to be able to avoid that. And to try to design a plan that could generate support, because I don't feel like Measure T was ever an effort to ruin the community or anything that was. I think it was our best effort. I do. We'd already thrown out the previous not as good efforts.
Right.
And so here we are. But we can do better. And that's what we need to do.
And as you assume office, is this priority number one?
It is.
It needs to be?
Yes. And my term is 2 years as mayor. And so I do hope that we will be able to conclude this within the term and finally get compliant with the law.
Her name is Catherine Blakespear. She is the new mayor, lucky her, of the beautiful city of Encinitas in San Diego County. My name is Brad Pomerance. Thanks so much for joining us on Local Edition.
Thank you.